So you can see the screen, right?
Yes,
Clear?
sir.
My audio and video are clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yesterday we were talking about the ensemble and probabilistic forecasting. Okay, and we mentioned that the ensemble forecasting is done because no model is considered to be perfect. That is one reason. The other reason is that we know NWP models or NWP is a initial value problem. So if our initial condition is not good, not perfect, or not accurate, then our final solution also will not be accurate. And therefore, a lot of efforts are made to improve the initial condition and make it as accurate as possible. Okay. And one of that effort is the data assimilation that we do. To assimilate the data, to bring the analysis as close to observation as possible every 6 hours. Okay, that is one way. But even by doing that, it was felt after a long time that still the model solutions are not perfect, or still the solutions are not close to the reality. Okay, then people started thinking that okay, let us now make several forecasts by perturbing the initial conditions, and we can have say 10 members or 20 members or 50 members of the ensemble model, and each member will be run with a new set of initial condition. And finally, when we integrate the model, then depending upon the solution, the range of solution, we can calculate the ensemble mean and also the probability of the forecast for any event. Okay, so that was one way. And we mentioned yesterday that the way people perturb the initial condition are generally two types. One way is by using a so-called breeding technique, which the NCEP does, and a few more institutions do. And the second technique is the so-called similar vector method, which ECMWF does. Well, both are equally good and competitive. Okay, and produce the kind of desired, intended perturbation in the initial conditions. So that is one way. But this way, the model remains the same. Okay, model is the same, the deterministic model that we use, but the initial conditions are different. Okay, the second method of making the ensemble forecast is by using different models itself, because as I said, and as you know, that no model is perfect. So maybe we can have many models run from the same initial condition, and then finally take the ensemble mean of all the models. But in this case, it is not a simple, straightforward arithmetic mean of the model, but it is done in a proper scientific way or proper statistical way to calculate the multi-model ensemble forecasting. Okay, and that shall discuss today. This concept was actually originally proposed by Professor K.N. Krishnamurthy at Florida State University in 2009. So both the methods are used by most of the centers even today. However, the first method, that is perturbing the initial condition, generally is used for making the, say, medium range forecast up to 10 or 15 days. Okay, but the multi-model ensemble is generally done for seasonal forecasting or for the long range forecasting. Okay, for example, even today, both IMD as well as NCMRWF provides weekly forecast for the next 1 month. Every week, every Thursday, they make a forecast of the next 1 month. Okay, and that forecast actually is based on the multi-model ensemble. And that multi-model consists of models from the NCMRWF, models from the ECMWF, models from the NCEP, models from the JMA, and so on. NCMRWF itself has two models. I mean, India itself has two models. One is the UM used by NCMRWF, another is the GFS used by IMD or IITM. Okay, so that way we have got 5, 6, 7 models, and then based upon the outputs of the 5, 6 models, which are run out to 1 month, a multi-model ensemble forecast is produced for the main parameters. Like main parameters are rainfall, okay, the temperature, etc. So, for example, today is Thursday. So today, they will send a mail to everybody and all the people who are there in their list. I also received this mail from them. They'll send me today both NCMRWF as well as IMD the next 1 month forecast, weekly average of the next 1 month, like week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. For 4 weeks, they will send me a average forecast of the rainfall, anomaly actually. They will send the anomaly forecast. That means whether in the next 1 week, the rainfall is going to be above normal or below the normal or normal. Or similarly, whether the temperature in the next 1 week is going to be above the normal, below the normal or normal, both maximum temperature as well as the minimum temperature. They also forecast the wind pattern, wind circulation, okay, at 850 millibar and 200 millibar, that is lower troposphere and upper troposphere. So these forecasts, they will send on a weekly basis for next 4 weeks, okay, based upon the multi-model ensemble. Both NCMRWF and IMD does that independently, okay. And we shall discuss that how they do this. Okay, so this is multi-model forecasting. No, and I was mentioning you yesterday that even we can do also experiments with multi-model forecasting, even if we do not have access to all those models like ECMWF, etc. Still, we can do the multi-model forecasting because we have the access of WRF model. And I was mentioning you yesterday that even WRF model, by configuring model with different combinations of physical processes or different resolutions, each combination can be treated as one model, and we can have 10 types of models like that, or 10 members of the ensemble, and make ensemble forecasting based upon the WRF model or the mesoscale model. Obviously, it will take a lot of time, because suppose if you are running the WRF model with 10 different combinations of physics and dynamics, and it will take more time for you to run. But it can be done, it is possible, right? So that is called the multi-model ensemble forecasting, okay. It has a training phase and a forecast phase. During the training phase, the number of models forecasts are regressed, compared against observation analysis to obtain different weights. Now, what is done in multi-model is, suppose you have got 5 different models, okay. So first the models are trained using the past data, let's say past 10 years data or past 20 years data. Each of those models are run now for a particular length of the forecast for which you want to make the multi-model ensemble forecasting. Suppose you want to make for the next 1 month forecast. So you will run each of the 5 models for 1 month for 10 years using the initial conditions of the last 10 years or 20 years. Okay. Then, based upon the results of the 10 years of each model, you will compare, because the past data or observation truth are available. So you know what is the truth and what is the model forecast of the last 10 years or 15 years. And then you will compute the weightage of each model. Like if some model is providing consistently good forecast with respect to observation, then that will have a larger weightage. And if some other model is providing less accurate forecast for the last 10 years, then you will provide less weightage for that. And then that way you will compute the weightage for each of those models based upon the regression that you develop from the model outputs and the observation. Right? So this is called the training phase. That means you are training the model with the past data. Once you have trained the model, that means you have got the weightage of each model. how much to believe, whether a particular model should be believed 80% or 90% or only 70%. That's what is indicated by the weight of the model. Okay. A multilinear regression is performed in this phase to estimate the relative performance of the number models. All right. These weights are then passed on to the forecast phase to create the multimodal sample forecast. Once you have computed the weights or determined the weights, then you start making the real-time forecast. And while making the real-time forecast also, suppose from today's initial condition, you make the next 1 month forecast from each model. Well, we don't run each model, but every center, when they run, they provide us their output. Like ECMWF model will provide their output of the next 1 month. NCEP will provide the output of their next 1 month. Similarly, GMA will provide, and they will all keep the outputs in their respective website or FTP server. And we download that. Right? So we download that to determine the weightage or to determine the training factor, training phase. So once we have got the weights of each model, then from the real time, say let us starting from today, we make the 1 month forecast and then give accordingly the respective weightage to each model and make the final forecast. Okay. The weights of the multi-model ensemble vary geographically. Obviously, some model will perform better in some region and for some situation, but some other model may not perform good everywhere. Right? So the performance will vary geographically with forecast lead time also. Sometimes some model will forecast good only up to 10 days. Sometimes some model will forecast good for 15 days only or for 1 month completely. So the weights of the multi-model ensemble vary geographically and with the forecast lead time. The multi-model ensemble forecast is constructed as, let me use my the laser pointer. The multi-model ensemble forecast is constructed as this one equation. MME, that is the multi-model ensemble, is equal to mean of the observation plus summation from I equal to 1 to n AI Fi minus Fr. Right? Where AIs are the weights and n is your length of the period or probably the number of models, and these are the mean of the forecast and individual forecast. Okay. Fi are the ith model forecast. Okay. Fi are the ith model forecast or the mean of the ith model forecast over the training period. O is the observed mean of the training period. AI are the regression coefficients obtained by minimization of residue. Well, there is a minimization technique used during the training period, and n is the number of forecast models involved. So number of models, whether using 5 models or 10 models, so that is the number of models. Okay. So this is how the models are trained based on the past data. Okay. Then how do we minimize the coefficient? I mean, the coefficients AI are derived from estimating the minimum of function to satisfy the mean square error criteria. Okay, least square method, and which is we try to minimize this summation I to n MME p minus observation for a particular time and a square of that. Ensemble mean bias. Then we remove the bias also, because even after that, the forecast can have the bias. So even the bias correction is done. We remove the bias, and the bias is removed, or the bias coefficients are defined as bias corrected ensemble is equal to O bar plus sum of all the model times 1 by n Fi minus n bar. So this is how the bias correction is done. In addition to removing the bias, the multimodal ensemble scales the individual model forecast contributions according to their relative performance in the training period in a way that mathematically is equivalent to weighting them. Okay, as I said now, you provide the weightage depending upon how much you trust a given model. Now, how much good they perform during the training period. And this is an example of the multi-model ensemble forecast. Okay, done at NCMRWF. In this diagram, this shows the observation. the graded observation of rainfall based on satellite and rain gauge. Okay, this for the particular month, June, July. Well, 4 months: June, July, August, September. June, July, August, September. Okay. And what is shown here is the day one forecast of the now 4 months. Like you compute day one, day two, and day 10 now forecast. So this is observation, and this is the ensemble mean for all the models which are used in the multi-model ensemble. Now, what you see here is, for example, the two prominent things which people examine during the monsoon season. June, July, August, September is actually the 4 months of monsoon, right? Every year, June, July, August, September are treated as the 4 months of monsoon, starting from 1st of June to 30th of September. So today is 1st of October. That means now, by definition of the IMD, monsoon season is over, right? And from today onwards, whatever rainfall occurs, that will be treated as post-monsoon. And now onwards, as you know, the northeast monsoon is supposed to start in the southern peninsula, especially in Tamil Nadu area, right? So Harthi, I say Haritasri, how is the sky there in Chennai today?
Sir, it's cloudy.
Cloudy, right.
Yesterday it is cloudy and it's raining.
Yeah, raining also, yeah. So what is supposed to be? I mean, that is a kind of mean condition that from today onwards, whatever rainfall will occur, that will be treated as the northeast monsoon, right? Northeast monsoon or winter monsoon rainfall, and that occurs mostly over the southern part of India. Okay, so this June, July, August, September, 4 months is the southwest monsoon, and in southwest monsoon, the two things which we look at generally is one is the maxima in the Western Ghat, maximum rainfall in the Western Ghat, and the second one is the maximum in the northeastern region, the so-called Arakan coast, right? This Meghalaya region, the maxima in the Meghalaya region. So these are the two things which people see. So this is the observation, this is the truth based on the satellite and rain gauge observation of rainfall, average for 4 months, June, July, August, September. Okay. Now this is the ensemble mean of the whatever 4-5 models which is used at NCMRW. Well, they are the ensemble mean of UK Met Office, NCEP, NJ Baker, and the NCMRW's own model. So 3 model plus NCMRW's own model, that is 4 plus 1 GFS of IMD 5. So maybe 5 model. Okay, so this is the ensemble mean of the 5 models. So what you see here is, of course, the broad features like Western Ghat maxima is represented as you see in the observation. But in the east coast or Arakan coast side, rainfall is rather more than compared to the observation for that year, for those 4 months. Right? This is our estimating here. And as I said that after doing the multi-model ensemble, also we do the bias corrections. So bias correction is applied to this one. And after bias correction, you see this as I said here, okay, reduced. And now we have got only these two small maxima, which is comparable to this observation. Right? So after the bias correction, your forecast is more refined and is close to the observation. Okay. So this is how the multi-model outputs are there, and these are the individual outputs of the deterministic model. Say if you use only NCMRW model for 4 months, June, July, August, September, then this is what you get. Generally, Western Ghat maxima is produced by and large by all the models, but problem is in the Arakan coast this side, and it's so much of rainfall you see here. There's a lot of the model. In the UK Met Office model, well, this is fine, but this is reduced compared to this one. Okay, but still more than the observation. NCEP model, same thing. Right? GMA model, now GMA model problem is that even the Western Ghat maxima is less compared to observation. But also there is a excess rainfall in the eastern coast. So only after you do the multi-model ensemble and bias correction, then your forecast is close to the observation. So this is what is called the multi-model ensemble forecasting, right? So I think we have completed this today. So this completes your topic on atmospheric predictability and multi-model ensemble. You have any question up to this? If there is no question, what I will do is, first of all, I will stop recording this part. Okay, and then we shall record again for the next part, which is our practical. Is that okay? Or any point to discuss? Nothing to discuss. Well, I'll send you the PowerPoint anyway. So after reading the PowerPoint, so you may have some question. We can discuss anytime later on also, right? So I'm going to stop this presentation, and then also I'm going to close this recording. And I see Asana has got this